Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. This is your host, Teri Wellbrock, and just wanted to take a second to thank you for being here and a part of this healing space, for liking, sharing, commenting on videos, and yes, just helping this show continue to grow. Had our best month ever in October. So excited about that. Almost doubled September's downloads, which is just incredible. And the show's been on the air for over 4 years and 3 months. Started in July of 2017. And last month's downloads accounted for over 11% of total downloads over all of that time. So it just absolutely blossomed. And I have you to thank for it. So many people saying, hey, I was talking about the Healing Place podcast and told this friend to listen in, or hey, I have somebody who's experiencing some severe grief, and so yes, can you tell me what show they need to listen to? So it's just been wonderful, and I just wanted to say thank you. Again, a reminder to go to academy.teriwellbrock.com. Tell folks I have online courses and coaching available. Thanks. Now for the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I am your host, Teri Wellbrock, and just so incredibly excited to have with me today Tryshe Dhevney, and she is sound energy expert, author, international speaker, and best-selling Sounds True crystal singing bowl recording artist. Yay! Hi, Trish. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi. Oh, I am too. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Previous podcast guest, Paulette Thomason, had introduced us, and we were just having a little chat about how awesome Paulette is, and we just love her.
Yes. Her ears are buzzing. I can
Right.
tell.
Listens into this episode. Yeah. We love you, Paulette.
Yes. Indeed.
So talk to us about who you are and the work you're doing in the world.
Well, who am I? That's a very interesting question. I am a different person from what I was a year or two ago. It seems like I keep shedding the ideas, beliefs, even the skin somehow of my old ways of being and thinking, and keep birthing. So I find that I'm in a progressive evolutionary process. So I keep becoming. But my work is centered around sound, and it was not something I had set out to do. I was in my background, I grew up in Sacramento, California. I had a very average upbringing, went off to college, but right around that time, the 60s, late 60s happened, music happened, rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all of that happened. So I hitchhiked to San Francisco to become a rock star. So that started my journey. That didn't last a very long time, but I set things in motion. And one of those things I set in motion, and I was a singing artist at that time. But what I didn't understand until much later is that I had contracted hepatitis C, and that it can lay dormant. So, and it's something that is typical, or not typical, but it's common among my generation. So I, in 1999 or 98, I was diagnosed with hepatitis C and stage 4 liver disease. So it was now
Stage 4. I missed that.
It was liver disease.
Okay.
So the virus was actually moving, trying to be cleansed through my liver, but at the same time, I was alcoholic. So I was drinking and compounding that with the alcohol and the Hep C, and all of this was creating a situation that I was at critical mass in 98 is when it was diagnosed. I got sober, happily, thank God, in 1980. So that staved off the imminent death that was probably facing me, because I wouldn't be here had I continued drinking or using other substances. Pardon me. And then I had started an acting company in 1984 of young people who were telling their stories of addiction and recovery in the youth theater. The cornerstone of the work I did with them was sound. And I had learned this many years ago when I was part of the Sufi healing, wasn't a Sufi healing order. I was a part of the acting company, the Sufi acting company in Boston. And at one point, the Sufi healing order came and taught us 7 tones. I thought they were an actor tool and chalked it away in my little brain as such. So fast forward to the acting company, I started using those tones to anchor the work we were doing with the kids because they were telling their own stories. And it was essential for them to bypass their ego state of understanding and begin to access what was really going on at the moments of they decided to get sober. And so we created theater around that and went into schools all over the country. Little did I know is these specific tones were changing the way their brains were tracking and scrambling the trauma loop in these kids because they had had severe trauma, as you can only imagine, through addiction, and beginning to restore their own sense of self. They were developing emotional literacy. I mean, I was astounded, though I didn't have those thoughts then. I was just so amazed at their growth. And they were all contracted with me for a year. So I did this for 20 years. I had 20 different casts. The last year, when I was diagnosed in 98, I had that little light bulb go off that said, what about you? Maybe you can try these sounds. Because I never anticipated it could be something that could heal. And so I started to work with these tones along with the working with a Tibetan bowl that I had found at a gem show. I just probably a week prior to that, buying that particular bowl, I was told I was dying and to get my affairs in order. But let's try this interferon. It's a new combination of chemotherapy in a little pill. Are you willing? And I said, okay, what do I have to lose? So when I went home, I just played my bowl because it was the one thing that brought me delight. I didn't think about dying. I didn't think about living. I didn't think about what to do. It was just gone when I was making these tones and playing my bowl. And within 4 months, I was completely cured.
Wow.
So that started the journey because I really needed to find out. Though my doctor called me his miracle, I knew intuitively this wasn't a miracle. I wasn't a medical anomaly. This was something that had a biodynamic to it. And I wanted to find out what that was. Lo and behold, I started researching what little was available in 2000, but made some discoveries around cancer and the voice, and how the human voice has a unique capability of exploding cancer cells through the tones of the voice. So that blew my head open.
And did you see my look in my eyes? I was just like, wow.
Unbelievable. And because it's such a fringe idea, I just sort of kept it close to me and just kept doing my research. And lo and behold, there were little dribs and drabs of people investigating things and finding out certain things. And I just started to lecture about my story and talk about sound. But more and more people were asking me to do this and asking me to present at conferences. And so it just built, and all of a sudden here I was in the realm of, not realm, that's the right word, in the role of what they had called sound healing. I don't call it that anymore. Because I really step back away from the word healing, because I'm not a healer. Each of us are our own healers. I find that I'm a steward of sound, and I carry sound forward for just the enjoyment of whomever's with me, whoever wants to play with me, whoever's on my table when I do sound activations out at Canyon Ranch where I work. And so it wasn't in my purview to set out to have a career in this. I kept following my joy button. This makes me feel good. This feels fun. And gradually I acquired more bowls. Then I moved to crystal bowls. And now I have the alchemy crystal bowls that are my love, my true, they are the energy that really lines up for me. So for a while in my work, I was thinking sound is the be all end all. This is the way through. And then I, grew up even more and realized that this is my way through. It may be your way through as well, but it's not the way through. Your way could be, sales. Maybe you find that divine spark, that omnipotent intelligence in those moments. Maybe you find it when you're cooking. Maybe you find it when you're a calligraphy artist. You're going to find it on the golf course like my husband does. So it is where you find it, so long as we are following what it is that brings us so much joy, that begins to allow us to release resistance and fear around life. Now, I would add to that, which is what I do teach, how to really expedite that joy meter, how to really magnetize the energy that you're bringing forth. And so lately I've come into understanding how we come to summon and direct energy through sound, through the language we use, through the tones that we make. I do it with the crystal bowls as I'm working with my clients or in audiences. And even on CDs, my music carries nonlinear coupling of harmonies that really allow people to have an experience that moves them to the next level. But I don't set out to heal or to fix, manage, or help in any way, because that's not my job. I finally got it. I got it. Right. My job.
Well,
oh my God.
I have so many questions. I'm enthralled. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to learn. So when you say, so someone can listen to your music on a CD, and is there specific, I'm going to throw a bunch of questions. So like, are there specific sounds that help with certain things? Are there, and do people come to you with a specific, a certain issue or a certain need? And then you decide, oh, this would work best, or do you just kind of let it flow?
I let it flow because I learned early on that everybody's body is different. Everybody's body needs different harmonics to bring them into wholeness. So what I do is in my treatments, I let the bowl do all the heavy lifting. I play the bowl on the body. I do a minimized amount of vocalizing, but I don't prescribe the bowl to do anything, because their body and the bowl and the sound have a contract, and that agreement is moving something that I would only get in the way if I tried to help and say, well, I'm your stomach, and fix this and we'll fix that with your knee. And no, it's not that obvious. When we're dealing with energy, and we're dealing with energy that is either moving and transferring around the body, you could have a core issue begin and say your lower back, but manifest in your throat. So when we work with sound, when I work with sound, and when I teach this, it's about bringing the whole person back into their harmonic flow. But each person's voice is the thing that does that for themselves, which is stunning. So to answer your first question, when you do listen to my CDs, there isn't a specific tone that they should get, in the key of X, Y, or Z. But instead, just listening to what makes them feel good. Like on my website, there are samples so they could hear it, or they can go to Spotify and plug in my name and listen to a track and see if they like it. And your body will be fed, whether you are on the headphones or playing in your speakers in your home. You are getting a download as if you were present at a concert, but it's taking a little longer. So it's a little slower download. So you're not getting the immediate infusion of frequency or energy, harmonic energy. But I find that my teaching has really turned a corner into empowering the individual to be their own healer. Where I think COVID was our greatest gift. And it helped us recognize that it's up to me. If I'm going to crawl out of this hole, I have to do it.
Yes.
So what tools do I have to crawl out? And the first tool we have is our breath. And the second tool we have is our sound. And when you put those two together, the amazing thing that I discovered is that you're oxygenating your breath and your blood and your lymph nodes. So you're energizing the breath every time you make sound with open sound. Ah, your body's responding. But then at the same time, you're stimulating the vagus nerve. Oh my God, the vagus nerve. Who knew? There's one little nerve in the body that is connected to the ventral vagus on this side.
Yeah.
And when you vocalize, you are stimulating vagal tone. And for those of your listeners who don't understand vagal tone, the body needs vagal tone, or the vagus nerve, to be toned because it regulates digestive enzymes. It keeps the inflammation at bay. It helps to regulate the parasympathetic, so you get into this lovely flow of rest and restore and renew. And that becomes your constant, that's your default position. So I tend to prescribe humming or open tone to people if they want to maintain a sound health regimen. So just or that's all. Doing that will start to kick in all of those extraordinary ways that the vagus nerve regulates health in the body.
Wow. Again, I'm your new biggest fan. I love it. And yeah, well, we talk about the vagus nerve. As a matter of fact, I just had reached out to Dr. Stephen Porges and asked him to come join me on the show, and he's going to come talk and talk exactly about that work he's doing and polyvagal theory and Polyvagal Institute, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's so critical for healing ourselves and not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, like the whole,
Absolutely.
all connected. But I have to tell you, because for a moment I said, oh my gosh, I have goosebumps on my arm. When you said being our own hero during pandemic, I just created 3 online courses, and my 10-day course is titled Be Your Own Hero.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's where we're going now, Teri.
Yeah.
It is in our backyard. It is in our home. It is in our, it's the spark that lights us up from the inside out. There's nothing outside of us that is going to do it. It is all generated from within. And that's what sound does. Sound helps us to direct that energy. And another sort of not considered sound therapy, but is so inextricably linked, is our language. So how we speak, the words we use, all of that is signaling to the nervous system how we're going to think, how the body's going to download information. When I was injecting the chemotherapy every 3rd day, I would say out loud, what my body can use for well-being will be used immediately. And what it doesn't want, it will be eliminated immediately. So I said that out loud, not fully understanding what would happen. I just did that. What I realized later is that I was giving direction to how that energy was going to move through my system. And the body said, okay, we've got it now. So once you speak about anything, you are magnetizing it to be part of what you experience or express or create in your life. So that there's a cautionary piece to that, and how much self-talk, negative self-talk, really is corrosive and it hurts us. Maybe we have a happy, sunny face to the world, but inside we're saying, oh, you idiot, you should have thought of that. Oh, you're looking so old, or you're looking so fat, or you're looking so short, or you're not, your hair is not as, whatever. All of those things are part of what breaks the body down. So you've got stress and you have that kind of negative talk, which also creates stress in the body. That's why we age. I'm 103. No. Okay, that's a little lie. But it is, I'm convinced that, I'll be 73 this year. And I know that my body is invigorated because of what I now know that is possible. And I'm creating it, even though I don't know how to create some things. I just imagine, okay, I will somehow figure it out. 1 or 2, somebody will come along and figure it out, or 3, both of those will happen. But so the new learning for me is to do it even more easily. We work too hard at having a good life.
Yeah.
And we don't have to. And it starts with breathing. Most of us breathe real shallow.
Right.
And so we've got this shallow breathing state, which means we're not getting enough oxygen. So that's why when you add sound to your palate, to your day,
Yeah.
when you breathe all the way out, you're getting rid of all the carbon dioxide, and you're breathing in more oxygen. All of that is helping the vagus nerve maintain tone. Who knew it was that easy? It's
Right.
that easy.
Yeah. And I love,
and inspiration comes.
And inspiration, yeah. I loved what you said earlier about, well, like doing it. I heard kind of doing it your way, because I've done a couple sound meditations before where they were at a certain octave or tone, whatever, and I was, for whatever reason, my body was wanting to do it much lower, and so I finally was just like, I'm just going to do what my body's telling me, and so it was just like like it really wanted it to be deep as I was letting this out, and I found comfort in it.
Yeah, the body knows, and the more we sensitize ourselves to what the body wants, we have a new how to say, we co-create, we collaborate with not only the spark of the divine, but our body. So we are this wonderful synchronized mechanism that moves together in time and space. But to your point about the sounds, I teach the specific primordial tones, which rise up incrementally. But I encourage people to start where you're comfortable, low, and move up high. The higher tones, and you might not have been taught how to make those higher tones without efforting. So those higher tones, when you're placing it up in the third eye or the crown, it comes to the face mask. So it's very easy. Your sound can come through, and you can hit it higher up there. And you understand, and you're not singing it. Sounds versus you're not singing. You don't want to sing. You're placing tone.
Okay.
So play with that at some point. There are ways that you could wake up and just glide, sound as deep as you can, all the way to as high as you can, and back down. On any vowel. You do that, and you can start your day in 10 seconds or less.
That's so cool. Well, I always would talk about self-talk. I would be critical of myself when I would try to do those higher sounds, because I said, and it's so funny, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. I said, when I try to do like higher sounds, I feel like the little old lady, church organist lady who's trying to sing and doing that, oh, you, and it's that shaky. And so when I'm trying to do it, it's like, oh, and my voice starts doing that like shaky vibration thing. So I think my
No.
body was like, go low, Teri, go low.
Well, and we as a culture have such we're so habituated to think there's a good voice and a bad voice, and there are singers that have, that there's a right way to do this, and there isn't. It's so that's part of my encouragement to folks is like, back off of how you think you ought to sound, because you sound fabulous. Your body thinks you sound like Maria Callas. Your body recognizes your voice as the most exquisite sound it makes. So you want to not interrupt that sound with judgment.
Yeah.
And because the judgment creates resistance, and the resistance creates a block so that the energy can't really move. So pretend you're 3. You didn't have much resistance at 3. So, just, and put it in the sinuses for those high tones. But you're not singing, you're placing a tone, which is actually stimulating in the scale of tones that I work with, the pineal gland here, and then the pituitary up here. So those 2 glands, when they get stimulated by those last 2 high-pitched tones, and I'll do them all for you so you can see what they sound like, you're unlocking intuition at such a deep level. So what I use these tones for, and these are the tones that I taught the kids, then used for myself. But what you're doing is, in a way, purging the dross. You're clearing the day. You're clearing old storylines or old behaviors, ways of perceiving self, and you start anew every day. Every day is a new day. So you don't carry things over. So that's why I have a practice in the morning. But so the first tone I'll show you is a very deep, that deep low tone. It sounds like this. You're using your ab muscles.
Yeah.
Then your throat is open. So you're just breathing out, like you're going like a teenager back in the day in the 90s and go, duh. That's kind of the sound. Like it's like the word mud. So that deep sound just anchors it. And then the second chakra vortex and the placement is a mid-abdomen, and it sounds like this. Oh. So I've got a nice round shape of oh. And I just keep my thought here in mid-abdomen and just oh, that's a breath be. And then the third one is sort of tricky because it's the solar plexus. It's where the vagus nerve sits, but the vagus nerve is being activated with every tone you're making. But the tone for this is EEH for this particular third chakra. So it sounds like this. And you have a band right underneath the rib cage, a diaphragmatic band that shrinks. And so you're squeezing the sound out through that diaphragmatic band. Yeah. And then you go to the heart. Little higher, gradually, a little higher.
Okay.
So that's the sound I do anytime I'm stuck in traffic. And I'm starting to have really ugly thoughts about being late or something. And I do this sound and it just changes the rhythm. In fact, I've seen it where the lanes of traffic opened up. It's really pretty amazing when you start to play with energy this way.
Yeah.
Then moving into the throat chakra. Very delicate sound, right? And this affects the thyroid gland. Some people can go a little lower, some a little higher. It's really whatever works for you. Then the third eye is this high E where you make the sound go through the sinuses. Yeah, you just let the sound come through your nose. And you can feel it vibrating the soft palate. And then the last one is high M. Same sense. You move it through the face mask. So you're not placing a sound. You're not singing a high note.
Oh, yeah.
And that's key. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very delicate. You don't need to push it. But that little sound is having a massive effect on your pituitary gland, balancing the entire endocrine system. But you've also been doing it with every other tone, but it's just site specific for each area of the body. But this, it took me a while to understand that the body is not created around the chromatic scale or the diatonic scale or the platonic scale or the solfeggio scale. Those scales are man-made. The body is made up of universal resonance. So it's every tone exists in us. So rather than thinking you have to hit a high C to get the root chakra woke up, don't worry about it. Go as low as you want to go. Your body will tell you how deep it is. Don't worry about a pitch. And then you gradually go a little higher each time you go up. So it takes that need for structure that we human beings have, and categories, which really keep us in a state of anxiety, because it's not native and not natural for our bodies to be that structured and rigid. And so you're really breaking out of the mold and being more expansive through sound, which awakens, and I use that word as a spiritual metaphor, but it's also an energy metaphor of stimulating the cells at your core. So there's vitality now moving through every cell of the body. The stress is overridden. The brain, perceptive brain is overridden. Cognition is overridden. And what happens is the brain is resequencing and etching new neural networks as you make these tones, or as you hum, or as you listen to music that is nonlinear. That's I've just unloaded, haven't I? Just it all came out.
And again, I'm sitting here, Norm. I'm just like, wow. I'm mesmerized. It's amazing.
It's so exciting. I mean, if you did nothing more, just hum. And then when you're feeling a little more brave, open your mouth and sigh. On an audible sigh, not an audible breath, but a sound. That's stimulating oxytocin, again, through the vagus nerve. That's your feel-good love hormone.
And I was still going to ask you, so many people who listen into the show have trauma history, anxiety attacks, live in hyperarousal, panic attacks, and so forth. So is these kinds of strategies really just that
yes,
can really help, well, one, get the breathing going, but doing that centering work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just if they do the sound of once they are comfortable, just then take another breath and make a sound that's just static. Don't worry if it's wobbly or creaky or breathy. Don't worry about all that, because you're moving energy. You're moving energy. That's what we're learning to do, is be able to summon and direct energy on our own, rather than feeling like we are at the effect, which is what trauma does to us.
Yeah.
We feel like we are at the effect of something else, whether it's social trauma, institutional trauma, religious trauma, personal trauma, sexual trauma, impact, physical trauma, all of it. And it doesn't matter what grade of trauma. You could be as frightened by your brother when you were 3 years old coming out of a closet, and that can jar your system to such a degree that you've been rewired instantaneously. So that sound and your body's capacity to make sound will override and scramble those trauma triggers. and help to release that program. And I can't tell you how that happens yet because we don't have the instrumentation to measure that yet. Maybe there's a baby being born who is bringing that information in. I don't know. But it's not there yet, except to say that I'm a living expression of that experience.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you for the demos. And as a matter of fact, as you were speaking, I was like, I can't wait till I can go back and listen to this again when we're done.
Good.
I'm going to go through it all. I love it. Oh my gosh, it's just been amazing. So anything else that you wanted to touch upon that we haven't had a chance to talk about?
I think if anybody is interested in doing a challenge, I did a 31-day challenge. It's all on YouTube. I don't know how long it will be up, but you can go to Sound Shifting YouTube channel or Tryshe Dhevney YouTube channel and look for the 31-day challenge. It's me doing all of those tones. They can go to my website. There's a free ebook about all those tones with links to me teaching how to make those tones free, all of it. So they can then explore it on their own and reach out if they have any questions. My website is soundshifting.com. And my music is there. You can get me on Spotify and Apple Music and Pandora. So long as they spell the name Tryshe, that way I will pop up. So there are a lot of resources available free to everyone who's interested in beginning to use sound in their lives in a way that just helps them calm a moment, to return to center, and to remember that they are everything they have been looking for and more.
Yes. All right. So final question, how do folks get in touch with you? How do they connect with you?
You can go to, I have a link on my, contact link on my website, soundshifting.com. Tryshe at soundshifting.com is pardon me, my email. Reach out, ask questions, go to the YouTube videos. There's a lot there, a lot of little vignettes and things that I'm talking about. So
Wonderful.
I'm available. Yeah.
All right. Well, it has just been a joy to have you here. Thank you so much for teaching me.
Joy.
Yeah.
To meet you as well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock again. Just wanted to thank you for listening to the episode today and remind you to visit my website as well as the academy.teriwellbrock.com for the courses. But if you go to my website, teriwellbrock.com, you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, which is also jam-packed with information and strategies and blog pieces and guest blog pieces and links to shows. And just a great space for, again, healing and hope strategies. Thanks for, again, being here and being a part of this healing space. I very much appreciate you. All right. Bye-bye.